Hi, everyone. Boy, it's great to see all of you. Welcome to November's Lunch Bunch. After we had to cancel last month, it's great to see everybody back. For those that don't know me, I'm Stu Bennett, class of 66, and I'm a member of the Alumni Board. And if this is your first lunch bunch, welcome, and to all of the rest of you, welcome back. Thank you for your continued interest and support. We're always glad to have you joining us, and we continue our monthly look at what's going on at Mines and the programs that make Mines great. In celebration of Veterans Day this month, we're pleased to feature the Mines ROTC program as well as the Mines Veterans Alliance program, both under the watchful eye of Derek Morgan, Dean of Students. Both of these programs continue to successfully prepare and support our ore diggers in service of others and our country. And Mines has a rich ROTC history. Derek will be providing additional information today, as well as introducing our guest speakers. Before Dr. Morgan begins, just a few quick reminders as we do each month. Any questions that you submitted with your RSVP have been shared with our speakers. But if you think of a question during the program, use the chat feature, and we'll keep an eye on it. If we run out of time and don't get to your question, we'll circle back after the program and get your answer. All of the Lunch Bunch programs are recorded and can be accessed on the Lunch Bunch page of the alumni website, and that's weare.mines.edu. So if you missed one or want to see this again or get more detail, even to share it with a friend, click on the View Previous Events at the bottom of that page, and you can access the archive. And lastly, if you have ideas for future speakers or topics, we want to know about them. Let us know what you're interested in, and let Ruth know or myself, and we'll make sure the alumni office gets the word and we'll set it up. And with that, I'd like to welcome Dr. Morgan.
Thanks,
Hi,
Stu.
Derek.
Appreciate it, buddy. Hi, everybody. For those that don't know me, I am Derek Morgan. I serve as the Dean of Students. I've been in that role since about 2010. I've been at the Colorado School of Mines campus since 2003. And it's just great to see everybody. As Stu mentioned, I have the pleasure of working with the Mines Veterans Alliance, as well as a little bit with ROTC. And in a little bit, I'll talk about some of the initiatives that we're doing to support our veterans. But to get us started, I thought we'd let Captain Austin Wesley and Fran Aguilar give us a little update on ROTC and that program. So I'll turn it over to those two for now.
Thanks very much, Derek. Oh, it's so great to see all of you and all these alumni faces. Brings back a lot of memories. I started with the ROTC program in 2008 and have had the privilege of meeting and speaking with alumni that served in Vietnam, the Korean War. I even spoke with somebody who helped build floating bridges in World War II, somebody else who dug tunnels under London in World War II. So it sure has opened my eyes to the geniuses that this university produces, and they're very special to be part of it. I'm sure our alumni and many of you already know that military instruction was taking place at Mines' inception in 1874. It actually started being called ROTC when ROTC became an act in 1916. And so we have commissioned over 2,500 officers into the United States Army. Air Force joined the program in 1991, and we've been part of that nice group ever since. So we've got a lot of alumni that have served as the program. 2 years of military instruction was mandatory up until the late 70s. So in fact, we were just speaking before the meeting, people were reminiscing on how that training is still part of their lives today. So it's great to hear that. We have ROTC, which trains officers and prepares them to enter the military. And then the Veterans Alliance is actually people who have already served in the military and are coming back to further their education. So there is money involved. Some of our cadets are on our OTC scholarships, which cover tuition and mandatory fees mostly. They get a book stipend and a monthly allowance as well. So it's a good scholarship that they're in on. You don't have to attend ROTC or you don't have to be on a scholarship to attend ROTC. You can do ROTC without that scholarship, but boy, it sure helps with getting our students through college. And then of course, veterans come back on that good GI Bill. So there's funding there too. And of course, scholarships available for our veterans. So that's a little bit of the history piece. I'm going to turn it over to Captain Austin Wesley now, who will talk a little bit further.
Thanks, Rand, and thanks everyone for joining us today and giving us the opportunity to kind of talk about the program and share what we have going on here. So I'm Captain Austin Wesley. I'm an active duty engineer officer. I got here in June. So our Cadre team currently is myself, Fran, as most of you know, and then Major David Catone is a field artillery officer. He teaches the MS2s, our sophomores. I teach the juniors, the MS3s, and then Sergeant First Class Nearhoof is our infantry NCO. He teaches the freshmen. And we also have Captain Pace. Kevin Pace, he is a air defense artillery officer. So that's our team here at Mines. And then for those of you who are not super familiar with the program or if it's changed over the years, so we're Bravo Company. Alpha Company is up at CU Boulder. That's where the majority of the battalion is. We have about 200 cadets in the battalion right now. Most of those are up at Boulder. We have about 50 Army down here at Bravo Company, and then Charlie Company covers the Auraria campus down in Denver, and they have about 30 cadets from the different schools that cover all those campuses. So total of the battalion, we're sitting really well. We're one of the biggest battalions in the entire brigade, which covers pretty much the entire Mountain West. So a very large program. And then on top of that, we also have an active Air Force component here at Mines. And then of course, they're active at Boulder as well. So on that note, we have a part-time Air Force ROTC cadre. He's actually in the Space Force now. He transferred from the Air Force to the Space Force. And he comes down here and teaches the freshman class for the Air Force ROTC program once a week. The rest of their activities all take place up at Boulder. That's where the detachment is headquartered. So all the rest of their classes and PT and lab is all up there. So a little bit different. Still part of the program here. They're just a lot more active up at Boulder, whereas we host everything for our cadets down here at Mines. And then Bravo Company consists of mostly Mines students, but we also have 12 cadets from Colorado Christian University in Lakewood, and then we have one cadet from Regis University, which is near Denver. So some of the other affiliate schools that are part of our program, but mostly Mines students. So we're coming up kind of on the close of the semester, as most of you know. So most of this semester is kind of covered individual skills. So we spent a lot of time training land navigation, first aid skills, and we're starting to get into a little bit of the collective task, which is more training at squad and platoon level. And then the spring semester will be pretty much solely focused on that, mainly to get them into the tactics realm for evaluation purposes, and then also to get our MS3s, our juniors, ready for the advanced camp. I know it's gone through different names over the years. It's currently called Cadet Summer Training, or CST, and they go to Fort Knox, Kentucky for 5 weeks, and they'll be essentially evaluated on their leadership abilities and potential. And then that evaluation will go into their sessions, and then that overall score of their GPA, the things they've done here at Mines, extracurricular events, sports or athletics they're involved in, all that gets wrapped up into a giant equation, and then they get ranked amongst their peers across the country in other RTC programs. And then based on where they fall, they will get either first, second, third, or fourth choice. Our cadets have historically scored very well in the accessions process. We really don't have issues with cadets not getting what they want. It is competitive to obviously get certain branches. So certain branches are more popular than others. And that can vary year to year. So the cohort we have graduating in between this December and the spring, there was 3,800 of them that wanted active duty, and there was only 3,300 active duty slots. So more of them wanted it than had it. So that is a little bit competitive. So it can again, where you rank on that is pretty important. But most of our cadets get something in their top 5. And so far, all the ones that we have that wanted active duty got active duty, and the ones that wanted National Guard Reserve got National Guard Reserve. So from the program, we do really well in making sure they get kind of where they want to go. Kind of the big thing besides our standard curriculum, we do compete in Ranger Challenge every year. For those of you who are familiar with that, it's essentially a mini version of kind of like a best Ranger competition where they do individual and squad level tasks. That was back in October, and we completed that. We were 7th in the brigade, which was great. for the event, so we did really well. Especially we had a lot of junior cadets on the team. So I think the performance was really well considering the lack of experience overall in the team. So really good showing for that. And then we currently have a team training for the Baton Memorial Death March, which is out in White Sands, New Mexico. Last year it was canceled due to COVID, the in-person one. So I think some of the guys did it virtually, but this year they are. And so we'll be heading down there in March to complete a full marathon Rotc march where they carry a 35-pound pack with non-perishable food items for donation, and we'll have to complete that as a team as fast as they can, to win, to get the best time possible. So we have a really good team. I think just from what I've seen, very competitive. I'm excited to see what they do. Each company will have a team, so the battalion's sending 3 teams total. But right now, obviously, I'm biased, but I think our team's gonna win. So that's they're all really excited about it. And it's cool to be part of that. So that's
Oh, can I chime in? I just wanted to make sure we pay attention to the chat. And there's a question from Hoy. Does the Minds Group focus on the engineering branch?
There we go. Sorry, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily just commission people in the engineering branch. However, to assess into the engineering branch, half of all the slots go to STEM majors. So obviously our cadets are at an advantage because they are at a STEM school. So no, we don't have necessarily a higher percentage, but there is some, I guess, bias or some preference for STEM majors. They also get essentially a handicap on their accession score. They get their score kind of curved because they're at a STEM school, as most of you know who have gone through Minds, and I'm not a Minds alum, but I did get a master's in engineering, so I understand that it is very difficult. A 3.0 GPA as a STEM major is very difficult to maintain or to even attain. So a 3.0 here is much higher sought after than a 3.0 at another university where you're going for a degree that's not a STEM major. So that they do get a little bit of a handicap to help them with their sessions, which I think is the right answer, because it's not fair to these kids that are going through a very difficult program for that to hurt them versus someone who goes to a very large public university with a non-STEM degree to get a 4.0. It's just from people I'm talking to here, that is pretty much unheard of to have a 4.0 come out of Minds, which isn't saying anything against them. It's just kind of tests how difficult the program is. So thanks, Ruth. Was there another question? I don't think I saw anything else in the chat. Sorry, I missed that one.
What's that?
Okay, Damien, got it.
Thank you so much, Captain Wesley and Fran, for that overview of ROTC. I know we'll have time for some questions at the end as well. But I wanted to give you an update, everybody, on what we're doing to support our current veterans that had served and are now students at Minds. We've always had a student organization that's kind of existed here and there. But several years ago, we had a group that was really passionate about creating a student organization. So, and James will talk a little bit more about that. But about that same time, the administration said, we need, our population of veterans is growing. We've got to be able to provide them different types of support and more support than maybe we have in the past. So we put together a group that we call VET, the Veterans Engagement Team, which is a group of staff and faculty that work to support our veterans and remove barriers that may exist in terms of their success as students. So some of the things we've helped the veterans do, we've helped them create the Minds Veterans Alliance, which is the student organization. The students really did that. I don't want to take credit for that. But working with the registrar's office, and I know I see Jamie Taylor's on the call today, we were able to get students credit for some of their DD 214 and their military service to get them some credit as far as the curriculum goes here. Also able to get priority registration for veterans, so they get to register a little bit earlier than other students, which makes it helpful as they have a little bit crazier schedules than some students. We did a lot of recognition events, not just for holidays, but also like at the career fair, being able to designate veterans something on their name tag so students could showcase that. We were able to get stoles for graduation. What else? I'm just trying to think. just different ways to recognize the students. And that led to, in 2018, US Veterans Magazine named Mines one of the top veterans-friendly campuses in the country. So we were super proud of that. And we kind of taken, the VET has taken the COVID last 16, 18 months off, but we did start to meet again this last month, and we're looking to continue to work on a few initiatives. One is to create greater scholarships for our students, our student veterans. We do know that the GI Bill helps the students out a great deal, but there's some times when they need a little bit more money. And so having scholarships available can really help out. And so that's one thing we'll be looking at. We're also trying to do some green zone training, which is training for faculty. So faculty that are teaching the class to help them understand some of the complexities that veterans deal with and help be better faculty member for our veterans. And the last big initiative is the Veterans Resource Center. And so James will talk about this, but we do now have a Veterans Resource Center. It's at 1607 Washington Street. But we want to expand that. We want to make that bigger, want to make it better. Yeah, so those are some of the bigger initiatives that we've done and looking to do in the future. But now it's my great honor to turn it over to James. James is the current president of the Mines Veterans Alliance. This is his second year as president. He also has a newborn at home, so he's a family and a dad and all that. So I'll turn it over to you, James, to talk about MVA.
Thanks, Derek. Well, hey, everyone. I'm James Senyard, and I am an undergrad student right now studying petroleum, but I did serve 4 years in the Navy after starting college and not knowing what I wanted to go into. So I joined the Navy, found my path, got out, and decided I'm going to follow the engineering path. And glad I found mines, and very glad of all the resources that are set up, thanks to prior students that asked the questions, where do we go for this? And Derek was crucial, whether he wants to admit that or not, crucial to making everything happen. And so I will share just a few PowerPoint slides to give some visuals. Let's see if it works like it did earlier. All right. So our mission, the Mines Veterans Alliance is an organization created with the intent of building community among active duty, veteran, and civilian men and women at Colorado School of Mines. And we're also, our goal is to build, support, and extend the veteran and military community and their families and allies by providing resources, academic assistance, professional development opportunities, as well as advising the administration on veteran-specific issues, which I believe the veteran engagement team has been. I'm glad we're meeting again after COVID, but it's crucial to keep the connection with the students that have the questions and the ideas and bring them to the administration and say, hey, can we make this happen? Can we get this resource? And here's the resource center that Derek was speaking about. He was very crucial in making this happen. So we've got an entryway lounge, and pretty much any day of the week, there's students sitting here studying or taking a break and watching something, usually engineering related, on TV. And then we got a front desk kind of reception. Just last week for Veterans Day, we got a bunch of thank you notes to our community veterans and student veterans, put them up there to keep encouragement up for our veterans that pass through the resource center. And then this picture in the bottom middle, we've got 3 offices like this, and it's a good place to, when you need an actual quiet spot to step away from everybody else chit-chatting with you, you can actually study or write a paper in peace. And then we've got a conference room, which gets used pretty heavily for group projects. And then we've got a nice break room for coffee, because veterans love coffee. And then we've got a computer bar that is hopefully going to be supplied with computers soon, extra computer stations for students that don't bring their laptop or don't have a laptop or need to group work with a few computers open right there together.
James, how is the center? Is there somebody who staffs it every day, or if not, do veterans have a key? How do they access the center when there's not somebody there?
So there's no one staffed, and that's one of our long-term goals. We're constantly discussing and trying to figure out how to make that happen. But as of now, we have Blaster card access. So
Oh.
with everybody's ID, they can just walk up, swipe it, and Derek's the man I send all the names to and say, add this person to the list. They found out about the resource center. They would love to access it. And I'm, this place gets used quite a bit. I'm in there usually 6:30 every morning. And then I see people there at 6 p.m. sometimes. So
Wow. Oh,
it's a fantastic resource.
yeah.
See if I can go to the next slide. I know how to use a computer. Okay, and then I put this in here, a little extra information if you want to read through it. But it was set up by the foundation team last year, and it kind of explains a little more detail about what the Alliance is trying to do long term. Let me see what else I have next, and I can put that back up at the end if anyone would like to read it. But just as Captain Wesley was speaking about scholarships for their current ROTC cadets, we have the Isaacs Veteran Scholarship, and I believe, correct me if Derek, if you or anyone else knows the correct answer, there might be one recipient every year for the Isaacs Veteran Scholarship, and ZAP Engineering and Construction Services set up one last year that is one student. So there's resources, and this, as I put up there, it's for veterans running out of GI Bill funding, because some students will start using their GI Bill and kind of jump around, not knowing what they're want to do for a career, and eventually figure it out, and then realize they're almost they're not going to graduate before their funding runs out. So they're looking for ways to not take loans and struggle further. And I believe that's all I had for the PowerPoint.
As some of you know that went through mines, that it's a tough institution, and the GI Bill won't let you take a class twice. So if a student fails a class and needs to retake it or withdraws from it, or whatnot, that GI Bill doesn't cover it. So scholarships can help with things like that as well.
Certainly. And then as for what the Veterans Alliance does in our free time, the past almost 2 years has been a struggle. We haven't held any events, but we're looking to get started again in the spring with lunch and learns from companies, and just making industry connections for student veterans, bringing them to campus, having them talk about what that company does. It's something engineering related, science related. And then see, it'll be 3 years from the last Heroes Dinner, but there will be a fundraiser dinner being set up next fall after I'm gone. So I'm helping set it up to hand everything over in good hands. But Derek, you might be able to help explain more about the Heroes Dinner. I attended, but I did not help set that one up.
Yeah, thanks, James. The Heroes Dinner was a way to bring in veterans, both current students as well as alumni, as well as the campus administration, and really just showcase the veterans, and have a nice dinner, a nice speaker, and really just to raise money for the veterans organization and do that. I think we've done it 2 or 3 times so far, and looking to bring that back in the fall of 22.
And then, have I missed anything else that I should expand on?
Tailgates, you can talk about all the tailgates. You've done those.
Oh, the other fun activities. We've done football tailgates, brought the grill out to the tailgate lot, cooked up some burgers and served them to whoever shows up. And this fall didn't really work out, but people are pushing for the spring to have every Friday afternoon just barbecue cookouts at our resource center. It's been a big hit when they've taken place, but Fridays, depending on who's around and what the schedules are. Some people might not be on campus, might be out of town early for the weekend, but that seems to be most popular regular event is just, hey, Friday afternoon, come on down, and there'll be burgers, hot dogs.
Yeah.
And it's really how I got to know most of the veterans that are not in the same department as I am.
Maybe how many students are part of the Veterans Alliance? How many you call them members, or how many are involved?
So my most recent count is about 50, and I see probably 20 of them on a daily basis.
Wow.
And we keep trying to branch out and get other students to join us. And a lot of people will be like, oh, cool. What group is this? I tell them, oh, I'm not a veteran. I'm sorry. No, come join us. Anybody is welcome. We're trying to build a community between veterans and non-veterans, and trying to show the veterans that struggle getting back into regular life that
Sure.
it's not that hard, and everybody's a person. Nothing's different between us.
There's about 60 students we've given access to the Veterans Resource Center. And Jamie could probably tell us a better number, but it's roughly around 100 or so students, that a little bit more than 100 or so students that receive benefits or using benefits. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're a veteran. It could be that they're using their parents' the benefits of a parent, but yeah,
Very cool.
quite a few. Thanks, James. I really appreciate that update. We do have some questions, so let's look to that real quick. One is this is for Captain Wesley and Fran. How many of the cadets on scholarship have 4-year versus 3-year scholarships?
Yeah, so I was actually just pulling up just to make sure I have my numbers right. About of the cadets who are on scholarship, it's about half and half. Some of our newer cadets are not on 4-year scholarships. So I think in the coming years that might drop a little bit. And that really just depends on the availability of the national scholarship. Because the 4-year scholarships are at the national level, which means they applied for it online on the ROTC website through the national link. And then if they're on a 3-year scholarship, they got that after they came here. That's something we worked through with our brigade and cadet command. So right now we're sitting about half and half. And then we still have quite a few freshmen who are not on scholarship. So they'll likely be 3-year scholarship recipients if they contract. But currently all of our sophomores are contracted and on scholarship. And then all the 3s and 4s as well. So it's about evenly split right now.
Thanks, Captain Wesley. Another question is from Hoy, asking about veteran alumni involved as mentors. And as James mentioned, we do bring in some alumni to speak from industry that are veteran alumni and talk about that. But we don't have a mentor program, but that's a great idea and something that we can definitely look into. And
that's one of the ideas that's been requested over the past year. And that's something writing down to continue to pursue. I'm trying to make a good push my last semester and try and keep the Alliance on the rise. And that's something I've had quite a few people ask about.
Actually, that's a question that I will dovetail on that came up in terms of what is the Veterans Alliance program's greatest need? What would you say? Obviously, having a mentor program in place would be one to consider. Are there other things that you need?
I saw Derek's brain working.
It's on the spot there. Sorry, I
can talk for a second. I definitely think the scholarships for students that run out of GI Bill money it is a need. I think so. The Veterans Resource Center is all on the it's on the second level. It's on the top floor of the building, and there's a walkout basement that we don't currently have access to, and we'd love to finish that space out and create more space. So that's another need. I think a mentor program could be awesome and really beneficial both to our current veterans as well as our veteran alumni. It's a win-win. I think that's easy. It's just some things just off the top of my head.
I was thinking about the other half of the building. I just don't know how to pitch that, but you were great at that. So yeah, it's the same size as the upstairs. It's downstairs, but it's got a little bit of asbestos and it's unusable right now. But there's been a lot of requests for that as extra space. And the other day, somebody put it perfectly. They said, how about we have upstairs for you come here to work, and downstairs is like the lounge. Like you come here to see who's here to talk with every day. And I was like, okay, that's a great way to put it. And then the mentoring program, I think that one is a big one because like from personal experience, I have wanted to reach out to some of our veteran members that have graduated petroleum, and I'm having to reach out through one student and somebody else that's graduated to get to them. And then they're they're new into the industry, so they're busy, so they aren't looking to mentor, but willing mentors be a great
Mhm.
resource for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it could, I mean, I know Mines has a mentor program that's already established. And that may be something we could tap into that and kind of take that route a little bit too. So.
I see another question in the chat having to do with the Society of American Military Engineers. Could one of you comment on that, Fran or Captain Wesley, perhaps?
So Frank can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's a chapter on campus, but there is a local Denver chapter. We actually just got a flyer from them offering scholarships to current ROTC cadets. And then some other stipulations in there as well. And James, I might actually look through this and send it to you. It may even apply to some veterans. So if anyone's not familiar with Society of American Military Engineers, it's one of the oldest fraternal organizations for engineers from all kind of realms of engineering to include active duty. So they do a lot, and they do, I'm not sure if they're active on campus. Fran, is that correct still? They don't have anybody on campus?
John Coates used to be real active with Society of American Military Engineers here on Mines campus. He's not done it for a couple of years now. There was, like with the clubs and organizations group, there was a SAMI club. I haven't had my fingers in that, so I don't know if it's still active or not. But we do get scholarships from them now and then, and every once in a while we'll have a SAMI member contact us and want to provide some information to our cadets, and we gladly pass that on for them.
Great. I was also noticing Hoy's comment about the talks that you gave here on campus, or virtually anyway, in September. Hoy, do you want to talk a little bit about that or share your experience with the group?
Sure. It was back on the 20th of September, one of the classes, and this was Richard set this up for me to come in and talk on campus to talk about strategy. So as being a veteran, of the engineering branch, and then going on into the industry and becoming a president of a company, then I got to talk about the strategies and some of the skill sets that were required to kind of go into some of those activities. So it was a really, I certainly enjoyed talking to the class. It was a little tough talking through a mask, but other than that, it was it was pretty good, because there were both being an Army alumni or veteran, as well as a football alumni and a few other things. The kids were really interested and really asked some really good questions, and they really tied a little bit the military experience and being a young officer and how that helped, in my progression up the chain of command, for a company. And one of my good friends here in Texas was the commander of the engineering group at Fort Leonard Wood, General McCoy, and he and I talk quite a bit all the time about about how particularly the engineering branch really kind of helps helps kids quite a bit. And we can talk about that. We can bring those experiences to the table.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's awesome. Stu, I see a question from you. Do you want to maybe talk a bit about Scabbard and Blade and what that was when you were at Mines? And I don't have an answer to that question. Maybe Derek can comment.
Well, it was an honorary for the military. Kind of like Tau Beta Pi and others have been over the years. And it was an honor to be elected to it. I think it was to recognize leadership. But that, the school at that point had the compulsive 2-year ROTC plus a very active last 2 years. And I don't know if Scabbard and Blade kind of left the territory when we had a lesser number of students, but maybe one of you can address that.
I can speak for a moment. I do know when I was here in 2008, Scabbard and Blade was kind of dissolving. I have some written history on it in my collection here in the office. But when I started on in 2008, it was considered a campus organization and really wasn't related to ROTC any longer.
And I don't have anything to add. I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, I had heard of that before. I'm actually just pulled up their website. Something I'll look into to see if it's still possible. They do have a program specifically for senior ROTC programs, which is what we are, versus the JROTC, the junior ROTC, which is high school students. So I'll look at it and see if there's something that, or if it's something that interested the cadets. This is a cadet-led organization, so if they're interested in doing that, then we'll do it. But obviously, as you know, the Mines kids are very busy as it is. So we'll see. But I have some very entrepreneurial students who would probably be interested. So thanks for bringing it up. I'll take a look at it.
Any other questions or comments from the group? I have a question. I always have questions. Sorry. Fran and everybody. I mean, what is the outlook for ROTC? Is it a real struggle to have students, to get students here and to participate? Do they, I mean, given the way of the world right now, do you see this program continuing to grow? What's your take on the outlook for the program?
I think the program will keep going strong. We have a good number of enrollments. We've always been told from command, Army Brigade, Air Force Headquarters, quality over quantity when it comes to an engineering degree, an engineering officer going into the military. So we have good support from above. Mines campus is amazing in what they give us as far as support. And I just think it's going to keep going strong. There's always going to be a need for officers in the military. And as long as we can produce that quality officer, we'll be here.
Great.
Yeah, I would just, to add on to what Fran was saying, I think regardless of what's going on in society, I mean, recruiting obviously can kind of fluctuate, ebb and flow with what's going on in the world and politics especially. But I will say, at least from the cadets who are here, all of them that are involved in the program, very dedicated and motivated to be here. So I think all of them have service in the forefront of their minds when they're coming here. And so I think it's not really an issue of convincing them to participate. It's more just what can we do to shape them the best we can to be as effective as they can be wherever they decide to go in the Army, whatever branch, whether that's active duty, guard, reserve. So I agree with Fran. I don't see, I mean, scholarships, obviously money's always changing. That stuff will always change. But the battalion as a whole historically has a pretty good track record of maintaining enrollment. And we're actually exceeding our minimum requirements for recruiting. We have been for a very long time. So I don't think that that's any huge risk for the company or for the battalion.
Very good. Tell us a little bit about, I know you do a commissioning ceremony twice a year in conjunction with commencement. So your fall, I guess, winter commissioning ceremony is coming up soon. And that's quite, it gives me goosebumps every time I go. Do you want to speak a little bit about that and what happens?
Yeah, thanks for the plug. Yeah, I would encourage everyone, if you've ever been to one, that they are pretty cool to see. So we have 5 Army cadets who will be commissioning in December. We're doing it on December 19th at 2 p.m. in Friedhof Hall. I know it's a Sunday, but we're doing it. One of the cadets has a wedding. He's getting married on Saturday. So between commencement and wedding things, he's gonna be a little busy. And then the rest of the cadets who are commissioning are all in the wedding or attending. So they're all kind of busy that week. So we moved it to Sunday afternoon. So we would love for anyone to come. It's obviously gonna be somewhat short because there's only 5 of them, but it'll be a great ceremony. So we'll be commissioning then 3 of them into active duty. One's an infantry officer, another is a signal officer, and another as a military intelligence officer. And then I have 2 going into the National Guard. They had actually still, one is going to be, I think, a signal officer, and the other one's actually still deciding because they kind of get to pick based on what they go to. They kind of get to pick their branch. So still waiting for his final decision. But I would encourage everyone to come to that. on December 19th. And then when we lock in the exact date and time, I don't have off the top of my head unless Fran does, for the May commissioning, it'll be the same thing. We'll have mostly our CC cadets that are graduating. We'll have one mines cadet graduating, but either way, 5, I think you'll have 5 from Bravo Company also graduating and commissioning in May. I don't know, Fran, if you had the date. If not, we'll obviously we'll see hopefully all of you again before then. We can give you the details. But thanks, Ruth.
Yeah, you bet. You bet.
Hey, Ruth, I actually had one more thing I forgot to mention to everyone. Just for education piece, something that Mines does, I think, is kind of unique to Mines, is they offer a minor in military science for all of our cadets who are enrolled in the program. So there are 20 credits of military science classes they have to take to include their labs, count for credit, not only to help their PT, it counts for their PE credit. So it helps take off another class out of the requirements, minimum requirements for graduation, but it also gives them a minor, which my school did not when I went through, and even some of our affiliate schools within the battalion don't do that. So I think it's kind of a neat thing that the school has recognized. I see a question. Oh, Jess asked, hey, military ball. Yes, thanks for bringing that. Yes, 11 March, we will have our military ball up in Denver, our dining out. So the invites will go out, and again, I'll make sure everyone. I'll credit you probably for a distro list. I'm sure Frank probably already has it, but to make sure everyone that would like to come knows about it. But yeah, if you want to mark your calendars, I don't have the venue, but I just know it'll be up in Boulder somewhere.
Is that for the entire Buffalo Battalion, for all the students and alumni who are or were part of that, and then their guests, or who?
Yes, that would be for anyone who's invited that would like to come. Dining out is anyone, to include everyone in the unit, and then anyone else, like so alumni and guests that would like to come are absolutely more welcome. There'll be a link on the invite, I'm sure, for a website to buy tickets, and then you just buy tickets on RSVP and have your meal choice there, and then show up. I'm sure it'll be a great event. I think I know last year it had to get canceled because of COVID, but I think this year with the numbers so far, I think between across the battalion, especially helps with the schools having a vaccination requirement. We're looking pretty healthy as a population, so I think it's going to be safe enough we can get together and have a good time.
I'm smiling at Tracy's comment. And for those of you who don't know Tracy Case, she's with our mechanical engineering department. Hi, Tracy. Do you want to comment on your experience with ROTC at UT Austin? And I would love to hear more.
Oh, well, I think I will always say this as a veteran, everything I do today is better because I served. And that includes ROTC, that includes, my time on active duty. And then now I'm back at Mines. I work in the mechanical engineering department. I'm also an alum. I got my master's degree here after I did my ROTC at UT Austin. I love the changes I see for the veterans over the years since my time. The benefits are outstanding. The GI Bill is amazing. The post 9/11 is such a positive change for the cadets. And I love to see that the military science courses are now give the students a minor. The cadets get a minor out of that. So awesome. So I'm really proud to be involved with the Mines Veterans Alliance. The mechanical engineering department does everything we can do to support our veterans. We provide popcorn. James, let me know if we need more popcorn. Coffee, let me know if you need
popcorn and coffee.
Yeah.
Breakfast of champions. All right.
And I just want to say, go Army, beat Navy.
I love it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Tracy. And I just want to read, I think Derek kind of mentioned this before. So, especially for the veterans using their post 9/11 GI Bill, obviously I don't really get involved because I know the Mines Veteran Alliance is separate from the ROTC program, but that GI Bill, it covers the tuition fees, and then it gives them a basic housing allowance. But that really is not enough to live out here. As all of you know, it is expensive to live in Colorado. It's very expensive to live anywhere around Golden, especially right now with the way the housing market is. And so especially for our veterans, any extra scholarships or money that's available, they absolutely could use it. They're struggling already, transitioning out of the military. So that's a huge transition for anybody. And then to come here into a academic environment and then, be able to succeed in that really works well when they don't have to worry about money. So our cadets are fairly fortunate. Most of them are young and, they still have mom and pop typically helping them out with rent or other things. So most of our cadets are doing okay when it comes to paying for some of the extra things besides room or tuition and fees and everything. But I think for our veteran population who maybe don't have that network, like a lot of our younger kids that come straight from high school, I think that's where if anyone's going to talk to anybody, if anyone ever brings anything up about money or scholarships, I think it's definitely should be directed first towards our veteran students in MBA, because I think they could definitely use it, because they're coming to school at a very different time in their life than they are, than ROTC, most ROTC cadets.
Right.
So that'd be my plug for that.
That's right. That leads into a question that Ian posted to the chat. Ian, do you want to share your question, or I see it here? Oh, you're on mute. There we go. Okay, I'm not hearing Ian. Ian, can you hear me? Maybe I'll read your question for you just to keep things moving here. But he's asking about now that the initial 2-year requirement is no longer, how are freshmen and sophomores exposed to ROTC?
So we do. Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
If you want to hop into, we do a decent amount of recruiting events. So all the big school events, we'll be out there with the table and kids talking to people. So the Celebration of Minds at the beginning of the semester, the M Climb, we were there. Admissions has asked us to come to some different events for recruiting purposes. So we try and get out there as much as we can to any of the events going on at school. We do color guards, for all the football games, which I think gives us some visibility. So those are probably our biggest ways to just show visibility and just to show our presence on campus. And then obviously when the weather's nicer out, we'll try and we work out outside. We do our physical training Monday, Wednesdays, Thursdays. Right now, because it's getting colder, we're using the field house, so we're inside. But when it's nicer out, we'll be outside running around campus, either somewhere on the fields or on the track. So we'll have some presence there. And then for our labs, we've typically done them up on survey field. But as weather gets colder, we'll be in the field house. So if anyone kind of walks by there, that's usually where we'll be in the mornings. But other than that, we just try and be at all the big school events and support the school as much as we can with anything they might need. And that's really the best way. We get some pretty good involvement with the student population at those events.
Great. Ian, do you have another question? Oh, I can't. I think you're unmuted as far as I can tell, but I can't hear you. The wonders of technology or not, I'm not sure. Does anyone else have any questions or comments they'd like to share of our speakers or of each other? Got some vets in the group here. Anybody? What I would like to do when we are finished today, I'd like to send an email to everyone just to let you know what the opportunities are to support these programs. If you'd like to learn more information about the ROTC program in general, about Minds Veterans Alliance and ways you can be involved or support that program, I will share that with you after today. So glad you all have joined us today. And I would not be doing my job if I didn't put in a plug for next month's program quickly. Next month, our lunch bunch will be a little bit earlier. It'll be on December 2nd because of graduation and holiday schedules. And we are doing an in-person lunch bunch next month with Paul Johnson, President Johnson. And I know for those of you who live locally, that's an opportunity to come and ask questions and have a little bite to eat. I think as we navigate our way slowly and surely out of COVID, we may be returning to more in-person opportunities as we go, but we will, starting January, continue with the virtual, the remote options. So keep your eye on the website, weare.minds.edu. The lunch bunch page there, we update pretty regularly. We have programs set through the month of January. And as Stu mentioned early on, we welcome your ideas. What things do you want to learn about? What do you want to be updated on? We want to provide programming that you want to hear. So we welcome your suggestions for future topics. And then Fran has a note. Yes, Fran.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to throw one plug in before we closed out is Mines ROTC is currently hoping 1 year soon to have our own field house. And so we brought the idea to campus with the remodel of Mines Park up there. We're hoping just to get a metal building with a couple of restrooms that we can have our own workouts because, you know, the athletic programs at Mines are just growing. So it's kind of a tight competition to use the field house now and then. So if anybody has any ideas on how maybe we could approach that or come about, I'd be more than happy to receive those ideas. ROTC@mines.edu would be a great place. Thanks so much for listening.
Great. Okay, well, we're ending a little bit early. Thank you again. We are glad to have you here every month. We're here the third Thursday of every month. So we look forward to seeing you for future programs. And yeah, thanks again. Bill, would you like to add anything for the good of the order before we close out?
I'll just say thanks all for attending. Excellent programs that we have through the veterans and Rotc, and good to get an opportunity to hear about them and encourage everyone to continue to support those excellent programs.
Great. With that, have a great day, everybody. And of course, go Ore Diggers.